All right, hello everyone. This is episode 9, I think.
9.
Yeah, we made it this far.
Crazy. That flew by.
I know it did.
Jesus.
We're having some fun.
I felt like we were on 7.
I know. Well, we're on 9. But yeah, if you're new here, this is the Canadian Real Estate Homefront Podcast.
Welcome.
Yeah, welcome. We just talk about all things real estate, anything we can do to help people to try and make better decisions as much as we can. I'm Cortez Ranieri.
I'm Brooke Hicks.
And we're just going to get right into this, all right? So the first headline here, we kind of talked about this on the phone.
Yeah.
I won't spend too much time on it, but I think it's an important topic. Canada's GDP grew 3.1% when expectations were 2.5%. So explain this like I'm 10.
Yeah, exactly.
One of those. So basically just the economy grew in the first quarter. So that's actually, people are probably wondering, like, that's a great thing. Like the economy should grow. But in this case, it's not what we want to see because of inflation being so high.
You know what I listened to though? Tiff Macklem's, his speech that he released, or I guess whatever, on May 4th. He said our economy is growing, but inflation is slowing, and that's what we like to see. So yes, we did see that jump in inflation, but overall we are still trending downwards. And it sounded, I'm reading a little bit into it, like he was happy with what he's seeing, and he was saying it takes a long time for these changes to kind of take full effect in, I guess, the economy. So everyone reading that is like, oh no, he's going to raise. But he said it's a good thing because as our economy is growing, inflation is also slowing. So they're trying to balance those two things out. Yeah,
I know. It's kind of, I don't know. It's like, it actually sounds like a terrible thing though, because inflation, inflation went up and then GDP went up too. So just like quickly here too.
Isn't it different? Sorry to interrupt you again.
Yeah, go ahead.
Isn't it measured differently though? So Canada's GDP, like this went up, this went down, this went up, this went down. And then it's like just an overall reading.
Yeah, it's like an overall reading of what the economy did in terms of gross domestic product. So they kind of they like look at like what households are spending money on and like where it's growing. And like, so where it was growing too was on goods and services, travel, garments like clothing, motor vehicles, and food. Food was also up too, which we know. But like people are still spending. Yeah. I think that's the big thing, right? And like wages are still growing as well. So like when that happens, like, people are still like restaurants are still full. Like when this happens, it contributes to inflation in a way because the demand for goods is outpacing the supply of the goods. So
he did say that there's not as many job vacancies. So he expects to see the wage growth kind of slow down a little bit, which is good because I think that's what, like, our tight labor market is what is keeping certain parts of the GDP up, especially food and like the service industry with job vacancies. You have to pay your people more, essentially. There's more competition for an employer. But he did say that that's slowing and there's less vacancies.
Yeah, I think it's only a matter of time before we start seeing more job losses and stuff like that.
I do too. So he's still watching, obviously, closely the unemployment rate, which is still sitting around 5%, which is very low.
Yeah, historically
it is very low.
Yeah, it's historically low. So I think we should do a little bet right now.
A bet, okay. We're still waiting to see what he does next week. So
I'm going to say 25 basis points. I know you're a big hold.
Yeah. No, he's holding.
Okay. So what are we going to bet? A beer?
A bet. Ooh. I don't know. I think there needs to be more.
More in stake?
More at stake than a beer.
A full
3-course
full
meal.
3-course meal.
And I'm going to post it on the Instagram of me.
Who's right and who's wrong.
Feel free to comment what you guys think too,
because
so many people are expecting him to raise. Actually, that brings me to the point. The sentiment in the market is very important to look at when it comes to inflation expectations. So if people think that inflation is going to stay high for longer, they'll be willing to pay these prices. If they think it's going to come down quicker, then maybe they hold and kind of wait out for those price decreases. So it is interesting that expectation is very much a big part of overall inflation and how people are perceiving what's going on, which is interesting. But part of that GDP, I did see housing, which is just one portion of it, decrease. And I think it's due to supply. There's not many sales happening.
The volume just isn't there.
But that decrease, so the Bank of Canada's increases has halted. There's a lot of inventory right now where we are. We're currently in Hamilton, lots of inventory. So it has kind of taken effect in some areas. But I think the parts that are still up service, food, all that kind of
Travel
stuff.
too.
Travel. We need to see a tighter labor market. Well, I guess more unemployment and less job vacancies for those to really take effect. And how related are those two? An increase in interest rates again.
See where it goes, really. Like, we'll see what happens next week. But yeah, for me, it was a surprise, like being an economy guy and like looking at the metrics, like seeing the GDP grow as it did. And like even just looking at how volatile the bond market is, which we said many times in this show, but for people that don't know, it's pretty much connected to the fixed rate.
Yeah.
So just seeing the volatility there, it moving up and traders almost expecting a rate hike, or just seeing how sticky that the banks are with their rates.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's, they're just kind of holding tight. And even if you try and shop around, I've heard that there's not much of a difference between a lot of these banks. So
no, there isn't. What rate did I just get? I refinanced my house last week at I think it was 6 or something like
6,
that. Which is pretty high.
It is, yeah, it's high.
I did a 1 year for those that are interested because I do expect them to come down.
Yeah, well, that's why it's a 6 then, right? You didn't lock in.
So I didn't.
You could probably lock in a 5 in the 4.
Yeah, you can, but I do think that come a year from now, he did say that he expects inflation to be at 2% by the end of 2024. I don't know how likely we are to see that.
At the end of 2024.
He says that from 3 to 2 is the hardest. You've mentioned that before.
That 3 is the new 2.
3 is the new 2.
So anyways, that's just the update on the GDP there. But we had a fan question.
I think
you were DMing them.
I was DMing. I was answering him. What was his name? I didn't see his answer.
Oh, I forget. But
no, I told him I would shout him out.
Yeah, well, we'll try and do it at the end. Maybe you can check your phone quickly as I ramble on here. But it's a fan question. So it was investing in Barrie. So Brooke and I are not. I'm not even going to pretend like we're well versed in Barrie.
Whoa, speak for yourself. I have a very good client in Barrie that is bought and sold.
Okay,
I bet he's listening and knowing who he is. Yeah. But my cottage used to be right outside Barrie, so I know it decently well.
Some sort of.
But obviously, it's not my home market. I would refer out if it came to it.
So I just like popped up a few things here just about Barrie. So for those real estate investors with an eye on upscale investment, Barrie could quickly turn into the market of your dreams. In the last 40 years, the population has swelled by more than 560%, and most of that population is on the younger side. The median age of Barrie citizens is just 37 years old. That's pretty young.
Interesting. You know what? It'd be interesting to see what Hamilton is. I feel like Hamilton's a little bit
younger too. Yeah, I think it's a place where you're not too far from the city. And as we know, and I'm sure our listeners know, that office vacancies are just through the roof. And I think that a lot of people are either working remotely or they're going into the office twice a week. I think a lot of companies still want that office culture, but they're decreasing the amount of square footage that they have. Exactly. So I think Barrie is a good place for these kind of...
It's only an hour. Like rush hour traffic, it's not so great, but same with Hamilton, right?
Yeah, same with Hamilton too. So those people investing in Barrie will quickly discover the nearby GO train transit stops are a very useful selling point. So obviously, like the GO train is a big point of going into the city if you do need to work there.
And you can get a house. You can get a detached house or in the 600s.
Yeah. Sure. So it said the benchmark price for a single family home was $839. Okay. But also, like if you look at this, what was it? A townhouse and row units, which are like a perfect missing middle home. Like we were talking about, we need more. That was $573,000. Yeah. So that's a really good entry point.
And then the older ones, I was taking a peek at them not too long ago. The older the townhouses are, and nothing crazy, 1990s, 2000s. I've seen them in the high 4s. So it is affordable and it is close enough to Toronto. On the contrary, out west this side, you can get a townhouse for, in the 5, 6s. They're going to be older, but stepping stone to get into the market. Sure. So there is inventory.
Yeah, and
right
it's
now.
Also like
there is.
I always think about it's close to Muskoka too. Like who doesn't like to go up to cottage country if you have the opportunities? It's way closer than if you're in Hamilton or Oakville. Like driving out there is always hard on the weekend. So anyways, those are just a few things about Barrie. Like obviously do more homework in terms of
what's
grown average
now.
Rent. Yeah, it's growing. It's obviously a place that probably you should have your eye on if you're looking for an investment. So
or
we're not
come to Hamilton.
Yeah, come to
Ontario.
Hamilton and Colebrook. She'll hook you up there. But just as a little bit about Barrie there, and if you want to dive more into it, then take our advice here and then roll with
I think it's a good place to invest. There's this Waterfront Condos that were going up. I forget what they're called. So my team was selling them, and I was like, this looks nice. It was overlooking the water decent price per square foot.
Yeah.
But I guess that actually kind of ties into what you wanted to talk about of the average rents, because condos, even if you get a low price per square foot, with the mortgage rates and everything happening,
what's the rent?
What is the rent, and how negative are you going to be?
What's the cap rate going to be? So that's, obviously those metrics you got to all look at, like location, what's the average income of people who live in Barrie? Try and talk to someone who maybe has a rental in Barrie or lives in Barrie. Or,
totally.
Yeah, we can try and refer you an agent if you do.
Yeah.
Want to do more.
But again, back to, it doesn't need to be your only play. But if you buy an investment property, you don't need to rent it out. Sure, you'll pay HST. Yep, you'll pay tax. But if you're walking away with just not as much profit, but still profit, if that's the play to assign it, or just sell it when it's done, because the price per square foot was pretty good over the water. Yeah.
But
I liked
just
those.
My cautious self, it's a futures contract, so don't bank on assigning it.
Buy now, figure it out later.
Yeah, do not listen to Brooke. Anyways, okay, topic 2. This one is kind of been going around a lot right now. You sent me the article too.
Okay.
Which is like,
which one?
More than half of GTA condo investors are losing money on properties. So the research from CIBC and the real estate firm Urbanation found that 48% of leveraged condo investors who bought pre-construction units to rent out were cash flow positive in 2002. So only 48% of 100%. So more people were cash flow negative than positive. So 52% were cash flow negative.
But if you look at how much your investment has grown.
Well, yeah, you can look at it from many different standpoints.
I guess it's tough to be cash flow negative with,
if you have other expenses,
especially another mortgage, for sure.
What are you? I'm pretty sure a lot of people say that in Toronto, if you want to be cash flow positive, a lot of realtors that I've listened to, they say you need 35% down. Yeah, which is a lot at these rates. Yeah. So this marks a meaningful shift that potentially signals that a change in investment behavior is on the horizon. They say they expect the shift towards a negative cash flow to worsen in the years ahead as increasingly expensive new condo pre-solds to investors in the past year reach completion. However, if investors become unwilling to buy into the pre-sales, new condo demand will shrink along with new construction, deliveries, and ultimately rental supply. So we talked about this last week. Remember we were talking about investing in Hamilton and how the pre-con was hot in Hamilton and it's dead in Toronto?
Yeah, it's... I mean, so as you like to say, the banks are working with people. So if somebody's negative cash flow, but it's up since they've bought it 4 or 5 years ago, re-amortizing your loan to make yourself maybe a little bit more neutral until the rates come down. So like we don't have much inventory. I was just saying how we have lots of inventory in Hamilton. Lots meaning nothing compared to what is normal, but lots compared to just the COVID markets, right? So if they're working with people and allowing people that would have had to sell normally, hold on to their properties longer, then that's creating less inventory that naturally would have been there because this wasn't a thing before, right? Yeah. So that's happening.
It's happening. Yeah. I mean, I
think re-amortizations.
I think that's a good point too. But a lot of people, I think, just can't handle that mindset of being cash flow negative. Like people just think of it, the problem. I'm not saying it's a problem, but people think of it as I am losing money every single month.
Yeah. In that, I would like to challenge them to flip the script because I have a house, one of them that is negative, and that's okay because the reason it's negative is I've pulled out my money. So I've, refinanced it, so it's obviously increased the loan amount, and now I just have tenants paying a big chunk of the payment down monthly with my name on title, none of my own money in it. Yes, I have to contribute to it, but in 20 years there's not going to be no mortgage anymore because that tenant's paying a good chunk of that payment down. I'm in a position where that's okay right now based on other things being positive, luckily, but even if that weren't the case, the amount of money you're kind of paying down on your mortgage, if you can stomach that 300, 500, whatever it is, think long term.
Yeah.
That you're not losing money. It's going toward your
Which is
equity.
What you should always think when buying real estate.
Long term.
People need to, even I know you're being
okay,
facetious about the assignment thing, but again, like don't buy a pre-con to assign it. Buy it to think of it. I'm going to hold on to this, and or have a worst case scenario. Like I need to hold on to this for 5 years.
Or buy it to assign, but if that's not a favorable choice when it comes time of completion, have your backup plan. So if that's your only way out of this, don't do it, because assignments got tricky this year.
Well, they're going to be tricky for a long time, because at the end of the day, these builders are charging a premium, which the market seems to be willing to pay, not all the time, but a lot of the time. And then when that is coming to completion, like people are on Reddit too. People are just thinking like, I can just walk away from this, and they're literally willing to walk away from $60,000, $100,000. Just because it's probably not going to appraise for what they think it's going to, even though it's going to be out in 2026. This one guy on Reddit was like, should I just walk away from my deposit? And it's like, no, just.
Well, he's not even at completion. Why would he walk away now? Might as well wait it out.
Because people get so nervous. Like that's what people.
Well, he has no choice. Why doesn't he just wait it out?
Well, people think like I can walk away from my deposit without any ramifications. The builder will sue you anyways, but you know what, the builder downtown Burlington was letting people out of their contracts because this is the building I bought in, and a couple people I know, I'm like, didn't you move in? No, I got out of it. How? Well, when we bought it in 2020, price was, I guess, a little better for sure. There's equity in it now. For sure. But the builder took back the units and gave them their deposit money back, because the builder saw, okay, well, we sold this at X. It's now worth this. Fine. If you can't close or you want to get out of this, we'll give you your deposit money back. We're going to make more money putting it on the market. And now I'm actually seeing on MLS the units I sold in 2020. So it's just like, interesting. Yeah. I actually had someone buy pre-construction, and the builder bought it back from them. Bought it back? Yeah. Like for a I don't think it was for a profit at all. Because apparently I don't think the guy could get the financing anymore. And anyways, I got paid out on it. And I thought it was weird that I got paid out on it though. Yeah. But the builder has been coming back now. Saying, give me my money back? Yeah. Well, I think in the contract it said, if the buyer doesn't close on it, then 50% of it goes back to the... Oh, only 50. Only 50. But it's like their accounting department made the mistake of paying me. It's really funny. Yeah. Don't give it back. Well, there's a lot of lawyers involved. So I have all of these promissory notes I had to sign. So a building that's currently being built in Hamilton. So a lot of builders are offering realtors a certain amount of commission, but then they don't pay it at the end. They pay 1% now, 1% in 2 years, whatever the case may be. But now they told me, since I left that brokerage and the deals are tied with that brokerage, the brokerage was like, I'm not paying you, because the builder has a clawback clause, which is essentially if your buyer doesn't close or if something happens, you got to pay us back, which I don't want to name the broker. They'd be on the hook, right? So they're like, no, we're not paying you till the end. And I was like, So now we've gotten to the point where now they're essentially going to give me my money because it's in their trust account. The builder's paid them. Promissory notes to pay them back if the builder claws back the money if the buyers don't close. So I feel like there's a lot of that going on, especially with projects that got canceled and this, and builders take a risk paying out commission before it closes, I think. Yeah. But how else are you going to incentivize realtors? I'll pay you in 5 years? Yeah, I know, it's tough. I'm sure a lot of realtors would do it if my client wanted it. Sure, it doesn't matter to me. Pay down the line. Right. But a lot of realtors are like, I need my money. Yeah. I need my money now. I got to pay all my... A guy was like, I have kids to feed. Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, I thought that was an interesting one that, people are losing money. And I think Daniel Foch said it too. It's like some of these investors are like almost just providing. I did see that. What did he say? I don't even know. It was like something on the line of like government housing in a way, right? Like you're just taking this loss every month just to hold on to this condo or whatever. But I guess we'll see what happens too. And then to lead into that, Ontario landlords are gearing up to protest the landlord and tenant board backlogs. That's a new one. So Ontario landlords have had enough of painfully long delays. They've had enough of making so much money for so long, but no, I'm joking. Painfully long delays at the Ontario Landlord and Tenant Board, spurring plans to protest outside Queen's Park early last month. The Landlord Tenant Board tribunal resolves disputes between landlords and tenants, has seen application backlogs grow to a staggering 38,000. Isn't that crazy?
38,000?
38,000. So it's basically just...
Oh my gosh.
Doesn't matter what side of the fence you're on this one. Like, people are like, I hate landlords. Good.
Yeah.
No one should be able to sign a contract and live in a house, right? Like, I'm renting from you.
Yeah.
I agree to pay you $2,500 a month. And then one day I just decide I'm not going to pay anymore.
And you have
and it takes so long.
No.
It takes 8 months or something like that. People are saying just to get that person out. Like, that is not fair,
it's not
right?
cool.
Like, people are just going to game the system.
In other countries, you're out the minute you miss a payment, and the sheriff's at your door.
It's not a free market, right? They're not paying. Someone else could live there who would pay, because the rental market is so tight.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, you just can't, like, if you stop paying your mortgage, what's the bank going to do?
Yeah.
They're going to right away. They're going to start, hey, we're going to give you a notice, but next thing you know, it's going to be a power sale or something like that.
So they take it from you, but you
so
can't
like,
take
why
it
does someone who wants to invest in real estate, you know, I'm going to put my money in real estate because I believe in it. I'm going to get someone in there. Why do they have to, like, they have to pay their mortgage on their own house and this investment property that someone else agreed to pay X amount for 8 months?
So you got to screen your tenants. God bless my tenants, touch wood.
Yeah.
I have 8 tenants currently, and every single one of them, I'm like, you are the salt of the earth. Like, it's cleaner than I could have kept it myself.
Yeah, like, there's obviously bad landlords out there. I've seen it. You know, I've had people call me and be like, my landlord wants to raise my rent like 20%. Like,
you got to be good to your tenants. You got to make them like you enough to respect your house.
Property.
They're living there. If they don't like you, think of how they're going to treat your house.
God, they're going to treat you terribly.
You know, I'm so good to them, in you know, response, I hope that they take care of my things.
It's it's crazy, because if you think about it as well, then if the tenant landlord board, everyone knows in Ontario, it favors the tenant right now. So, which is it's not a bad or a good thing, I guess, but why it's bad right now is the wait is so long. So you're going to have people who are seeing this mess, right? And they're going to start investing in other places that are more landlord friendly, or where it's more neutral. So there's going to be less rental units coming to market. And at the end of the day, like, we want people to own homes, but some people do want to rent, right? And when you see bidding wars on rentals, you're like, there's something wrong with this right now, right? Like, there's literally bidding wars.
There was 21 on one in, I forget what she said. Maybe it was Ancaster. 21 offers on a rental. Like, it wasn't like happen. Listed. Like, there was no bidding war strategy. So no, that shouldn't happen. But that's interesting. I've seen it a lot. Like, you know, I could rhyme off a million stories with people going through it or people calling me. I'm going through one right now. I'm trying to list a townhouse in Paris. Tenant was like, nope, no one's coming in my house. I don't want to leave. And fair. Okay, fine. Like, I get where he's coming from in the sense that this is my house kind of thing, but he is month to month, and the landlord seller needs to sell. He's now purchasing somewhere else. He needs to sell. So there's some cases where that would have gone in favor of the tenant, because you can't kick a tenant out if you're selling. But if he's not allowing any access, as the seller's representative, if I give him 24 hours taped to his door, I am legally allowed to enter the unit. And if he's boarding it up, then it becomes an issue. But now he's leaving actually on Sunday. I said, listen, give him a couple months rent. I'll help him actually move. I'll give him like what's available. He's been a good paying tenant. I'm happy to help him move. I get why he's all mad, but so now we're giving him cash for keys. So that's one. You hear about the deaths, and God bless their families. And sorry to bring this up, but I wonder if that was something to do with a dispute that didn't get to a resolution in time. I don't know if that's the case.
I'm not saying 100% as if I know that, but
that broke my absolute heart.
It's horrible.
Again, God bless
it was
the
in Stony
families.
Creek, right?
But the landlord went in and barricaded himself, and it ended in the tenants passing away. And
it's horrible.
Who knows if, you know, if there was a resolution that could have happened.
Right. I think the bottom line really with all this is that, like, there needs to be more people working for the tenant landlord board, or like there needs to be an overhaul in what's going on there, because just 8 months and like the backlog.
I wonder how many job vacancies they have, or if they even are offering these jobs. I don't know. It's obviously just tough to get a tenant out. I have another client that wants to sell. Tenants control it, right? And it just comes down to, I would rather my house sit vacant than you know, accept somebody just because, okay, I have an offer, finally I have a tenant. It's really, really, and then landlords are sometimes all over me. Brooke, why isn't my house rented yet? I have a lot of lease listings in Hamilton right now.
Yeah.
But I'm like, no, listen to me. These offers are not up to standard with what I'd put in my house, and so I'm not going to recommend them to you. But they're stressed. There is bidding wars on rentals, yes, but then there's also a lot of, smaller places downtown Hamilton that aren't flying off the shelf.
Okay, it takes a little longer. Yeah, you have to build that into your, I guess, pro forma is like
vacancy
rates. Yeah, how long could I sit with this? Do I have the cash on the side in case it's vacant for a couple months?
I liked what my client said today. We're thinking about this house in Burlington of purchasing for him as a rental, and I like it. The numbers work great. It's two units, duplex with a basement apartment. These are kind of my MO of what
bread and butter.
My bread and butter.
Good. Yeah, it's smart that you run with these.
Yeah, because I like investment real estate. It's very objective. And he said, okay, well, I forget his question, but if I can't rent it for 6 months, and I'm like, you're not going to this isn't going to sit vacant for 6 months. It's Burlington by the Lake, so that will be one in multiple offers.
Yeah, there's a lot of rentals that you can pick up there. People want to live there.
Yeah, but I'm like, I like where your head's at. Yeah. Good. Let's run the numbers 6 months vacant. Yeah. Right? Let's do that.
Yeah, can you afford it? Can you carry it?
Can you afford it? At what point can you not afford this anymore? Because if you're putting your down payment on and you're relying on immediately rent and no missed payment, no vacancy, for a long time there has been no vacancies in a lot of areas.
Right.
Well, not no vacancy, but very low. But at what point can you not afford it anymore? It needs to be long.
It needs to be long, yeah.
We went back to everyone wants to be a real estate investor. It's like this word. But
there's a lot more to it. Yeah.
I tell my clients, sometimes it's a full-time job managing tenants.
Well, yeah, that's why people get property managers, right?
Yeah, and then do you factor that into the pro forma?
They're willing to pay 6% just to never have to worry about it, right? So it's interesting. Anyways, what else you got going on?
What else do I have going on?
Anything else burning in your mind that you want to talk about?
Oh, you know what I saw? Okay. This is Dan Foch. We reference him a lot, but he has some good material.
Oh, it just always pops up on my Instagram.
I know. He said that the majority, what was it? I'm going to pull it up. We're one of the highest for international students. And so a lot of the immigration, there's so many international students that have come since COVID has shut until, I guess, COVID shut things down. So from then until now, the amount of people that have come in on a work permit is interesting. And even just from 2023 until now, how many people have come in on work permit? And now that we're allowing work permit holders to buy, how does this change things moving forward? Where are they going? 550,000 came to Ontario. Where are they? Yeah. I actually am interested to know where they are.
Yeah. I wish there was more concrete data on that.
Where are they?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot of people.
Where are they? They came from January till now.
Yeah, it's a ton. It's
550,000 just to Ontario. We're talking. I have.
Yeah, it's in Vancouver too. They have a big population of foreign students as well. Yeah. I was reading that the enrollment, a lot of the percentage is very high in terms of foreign students. So
I want to find the article because I want to read it, but. Yeah. Maybe we'll have to save that for next time.
Yeah. I guess we're kind of seeing the market slow down for sure. I think with the summer months, it's historically always been a little bit slower in the summer. So it's not something that we can't expect, but spring was a little slow too.
It was going up, and then it.
But people's mindsets change, right? Kids go to summer camp, and then you have people going on vacation, and people want to be hanging out by the pool. So
I know things slow down. Well, the summer before last was incredibly. Oh, here we go. I want to read this. It was COVID changed the normal
cycles.
The normal cycles. Yeah.
Real estate's very cyclical.
Yeah.
And, COVID,
it is.
COVID
you can usually expect things, right? August people go away, but then right before things get a little busier before school starts in school areas. There's some data that's just, it's usually pretty correct. Yeah. So I think we're back into that cycle. Things always default back into their cycles unless there's a massive change. COVID's taken us a long time to kind of come out of it.
Yeah.
Anyways, okay. Canada breaks record by welcoming over 550,000 new international students.
That's in 2022.
Students. Yes, just students.
Wow.
And then the top 10 source countries of new international students entering Canada in 2022 and 2023 were number 1, India by a mile. Yeah. So 226,450. Wow. And this is, mostly in Ontario.
That's all of Oakville, just.
That's like the population of Oakville. Number 2 was China with only 52,000. So you can see the jump there. Then the Philippines at 23,000, France at 16,000, Nigeria at 16,000, Iran at 13. And then the numbers after that are pretty...
Wow, India represented, holy.
Yeah, and then within Canada, international students attended their designated school in the following provinces. So in Ontario, 411,000 students came, and this is only in that 1 year calendar year. And number 2, British Columbia at 164,000.
Wow.
So you can see how much more Ontario is attracting international students.
Well, I guess Ontario, I know, has some of the top rated schools, right? It's just like, there's no doubt. Think of Queen's, Western.
Yeah, it's true. Most of the good schools
are in Ontario.
100%. And then in Vancouver,
UBC, right?
UBC. Then we have McGill and Dalhousie. So they all are concentrated in Ontario. But I just wonder where they're going. I was chatting with somebody, and they said that they moved last year, and it was nothing like they had expected, and they're figuring out where to go to next. And I'm like, that's so sad.
That is sad.
And not only because of the cost of living. You know what she said? She said, I can't believe in Toronto how like nervous and scared I am of crime.
Toronto's a big city.
I'm like, and I said that. New York, anywhere you look, there's going to be crime in major cities.
For sure.
But she's like, it's unbelievable kind of what I'm seeing, even compared to where she used to be. I think she went through Israel and a bunch of other countries too. And she's like, Canada's painted to other countries as this like peaceful,
really
we come in peace.
Yeah.
And we do. Not to say we don't. Our crime rate's pretty low, but
it's a safe country.
That was her feedback.
Interesting.
Not the cost of living, the crime and the shock of how different it was from what, I guess, what other countries perceive us as.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a fair point.
Interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting. Well, you have all that stuff on the TTC happening too, which is like crazy.
What's happening on the TTC?
Oh, just all like the stabbings that have happened this year. And I was watching a video yesterday of someone lighting a firework on the TTC. Like
my mom takes it. That freaks me out.
Crazy.
Just thinking about like your loved one taking their train to work, living an honest job, coming home, and just some psycho.
It's crazy.
The world has changed. I feel like there's a lot more volatility everywhere. It's not just the labor markets and there's just volatility.
It's all over.
Yeah. But there's also some good stuff too.
Let's
good. Not be
good with the bad.
Take the good with the bad.
All right, cool. You got anything else?
No.
Yeah, me neither. All right, thanks so much for watching, guys. We're on YouTube, long form and short form as well.
Follow us on Instagram.
Instagram too is our like main. We just always post shorts and everything like that.
Canada Real Estate Homefront.
Canadian Homefront podcast.
Okay.
You forget our podcast name.
Canadian Homefront podcast.
We're also on TikTok as well. And if you are on Spotify, Apple Music, like consider leaving a review because we're actually starting to pick up a lot more listens there. And I think it's from the short form content and people like eventually merging over there because our short form is obviously like our bread and butter right now.
I do go through the DMs too.
Yeah, DM us. Yeah, 100%.
We'll talk about what you want to, but because sometimes it's hard to like follow everything. It's not like everything changes so drastically in a week. So we'll totally run with your
the DMs
questions.
Can be better. Like obviously comment if you can. We'll try and get to it, but DMs can be better if you have like a specific question for sure.
All good.
Awesome.
I'm there.
All right. Thanks so much, guys. We'll see you next week.
We
appreciate it. Bye.
Bye.